Glory, glory, Sacramento.
Hello, and welcome to this very special edition of the 916 Republic podcast.
Nolan, why is it a special edition?
It's a special edition podcast because we are going, in just a few moments, going to interview our very own Hayden Partain.
Well, formerly very own.
Formerly very own, but forever in our hearts, Hayden Partain.
Forever Nolan's man.
We've been teasing, yes, forever my guy. Not in like, I don't have like a crush on him. I just admire, like,
You know what?
he's my
Nolan?
guy. Like we talked about in fantasy football, you have your guy. He's my guy.
He's your guy.
Yeah.
So Nolan admires his character and his physique, but he doesn't have a crush.
Yeah.
No crush here.
Yeah,
No.
no crush
No
here.
crush
Nope.
here.
None at all.
We all believe you, Nolan.
So
Thanks.
in this interview, we start off by talking about his journey to Sacramento, how he went from youth to college to Des Moines Menace and then to Sacramento. We also talk about some things from specifically this last season, which I think was very enlightening, and I think we found that we were right more than I think we were expecting to be right. That was kind of the conversation we were having over dinner after this interview. And then we also talked about some differences between Paul Buckle and Simon Elliott. It's hard to remember what the interview was about versus the hour and a half afterward that Hayden gave us. At least it felt like that long.
Yeah.
To just talk about stuff off air.
Yeah, just
which
candidly.
again, we were right way more than we thought we were going to be with some of the educated guesses, I guess, that we were making. So this is a really good interview. I think if you're into the kind of the workings of a team and how contracts get negotiated, how players get communicated with from management, and if you're interested in how a little bit of tactics as well, we do some kind of tactical talks. This is the episode for you, and we also talk about Hayden's personal life. He's newly married and stuff like that. So without further ado, here is our interview with Hayden Partain. All right, and we are joined now by Hayden Partain, former midfielder, sadly, of the nine. He played for the 916 Republic. No, he played for the Sacramento Republic. Hayden, how's it going?
Good. How are y'all?
We're good.
Good.
Yeah, we're
Doing
good.
good.
It's a little,
Yeah,
it's a little
thanks for
stuffy
having
in
me.
this closet thing. Calling the studio.
Harry Potter's closet.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
Hey, it's teal though, so it's an upgrade.
Yeah, it's a nice color.
Yeah.
Solid.
Well, let's just jump right in. Unless you guys have any other pleasantries you want. No, I didn't think so.
No,
Okay.
let's just do it.
Hayden, could you just walk us through your playing career after college, and just what led to you signing with the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly kind of a crazy story. So I graduated December 2016, Wake Forest. We lost in the national championship to Stanford. During the time, actually, I had like an Achilles injury, and I was getting Vicodin shots in my heel, like numbing shots, because I was like barely able to walk, and I was playing games like that for like the last 3 games with Wake. So after the season, I was kind of struggling to even just play,
Or walk.
Yeah, or walk. So it was kind of a stressful time. I went home, had spent some time with my family. I contacted an agent, and they were speaking with me, and I was in the MLS draft. I didn't go to the combine. It wasn't even like a talks, because I knew I couldn't. If I went there, it would have just hurt my reputation, because I couldn't really even do anything.
Yeah.
So then I didn't get drafted. Then I had like 9 USL teams contacting me. So my first trial, I went to Louisville City with James O'Connor. I went there. For me as a player, a combine is really hard for me to show well, because when you're just put in with a bunch of pool of players that are just super athletic, and they're going to be tricky wingers, other things, and I'm a very simple, systematic player, and I compliment players that do stuff like that. I want to get the balls to people that are super creative, skillfully and stuff. Not saying that I can't do that, but I just play simple, So I didn't make the team there. I went to North Carolina FC, same thing, didn't make the team there. I went to Tulsa Roughnecks, didn't even make the team there. And then I went and played in preseason with Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and I did pretty well there. And then they dropped me too. So I went back home. I had no teams. I had no money, because I'd spent my own money to do all these
and
trials.
home is Dallas, right?
Yeah, Dallas, Frisco, Texas. So just north of Dallas.
Okay.
So yeah, dude, it was crazy. So then what happened was this guy named John Pascarella, and he's now actually the Oklahoma City coach. He just got hired. He called me up and he's like, hey, Hayden, like, I saw that you were not with a team or anything. I'm going to be the coach at Des Moines Menace. Can you, like, figure out something to do for, like, 3 months until the PDL season comes up, and I'll pay for your apartment and I'll pay for food and we'll help you get a job and you can play for us. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Deal, you know? I had no leads during the time. My wife was going through a lot of health issues. So I was helping take care of her. I was Ubering. I was coaching for Solar. Wow. So I played for Solar growing up. So I helped coach with Solar. So I was doing like 3 jobs.
So you lived in Frisco, but you weren't a part of the Dallas Academy. You were part of Solar FC.
Right. Solar Chelsea FC. So we wore Chelsea uniforms, sadly. I'm an Arsenal fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I'm a United fan, so I'm pretty sure you're doing better than United right now. So.
I don't know. But I didn't play with the FC Dallas Academy. I only played with them in one Adidas Generation Cup. So I grew up with Kellen Acosta. I grew up with a couple other guys that went through their homegrown system. And they're a great program. But I wasn't a part of that truly, you know, other than for a 5-month spell.
So then you were with Des Moines Menace, and then how did that turn into a contract with Sacramento?
So I fired my agent. I hadn't paid him anything at this point because I hadn't gotten a deal, and I was like, dude, I play for the best team in college soccer, and I didn't get a deal. Like, I can do this on my own. So I started pipelining. Dude, I don't know if you don't know me that well, but I'm the most busy man ever when I'm not busy. Like, you would think I have nothing going on. It's off season, but I like make stuff to do. So I'm like super into, you know, networking, finding people that I need to talk to. So I was talking to agents, getting information about coaches' numbers, stuff that I probably wasn't even supposed to be doing. But I was sending them emails, sending them videos of my stuff. And what happened was I was really successful in Des Moines. I scored like 5 goals and 4 assists in like 12 appearances. Nice. And what happened was Danny Barrera got injured here. Yeah. So I happened to email Graham Smith around the time. And so they called John because they knew John Pascarella, the coach. And they asked about them, and they talked to me, and I was like, yeah. They're like, we'll bring you for a 2-week trial. That's all we can promise. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I risked all my money. I spent all my money for a one-way flight the day before. Came here, bummed it on the couch at Jeremy Hall's apartment for 2 weeks. I was like skipping meals and stuff because I couldn't bear to ask my family for money because I had my degree. I could choose a better route, you know. Yeah. And I made the team, and I played under Paul, and then I've been here since.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a super cool story.
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
I had no idea. Like, we don't see all that stuff that goes under the radar.
And I'm sure there's a bunch of guys that have gone through stuff like that. Like, I slept on, I don't know how many, like, living room floors, bumming it through trials to just try to figure it out.
Jeremy Hall too.
And he offered you to stay there, or you just?
I think the club kind of put it on.
Okay.
But he's a super.
Hey, bro,
cool
we're paying
dude.
for your apartment. You're gonna have a roommate now.
Yeah. No,
this is Hayden. Yeah. He's very nice.
Yeah, no, he's a super cool dude, and like, I probably annoyed him like the first couple of weeks that I lived with him because I was asking so many questions. You know, and he's a guy that you really want to pick his brain. He's been around the block, and he plays a similar position to me. You know, a little more defensive, but. I picked his brain, asked a lot of questions. Same with Moffitt. Those two I probably would say like my understanding of things is from them too, you know. Yeah. They led me.
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
One question I've been dying to ask is when Sacramento signed Sam Warner and Drew Skundrick
the Stanford boys.
Like, was there an initial like, break? Like, because you played them in the 2016 NCAA final. Like, was there an initial like?
No, I got you. Yeah. So when I was with Wake, I mean, there was huge tension between us and them. Yeah. But I personally don't hold grudges or anything against people. Like, I'm very like easygoing with things, and I remembered both of them, and I knew what they brought to the game, and I was like, I look forward to working with them. Yeah. Like, they found ways to win, you know, a very different style than what I'm used to and maybe what I agree with, but it's effective, you know, and so I was happy to work with him, you know, and from the locker room and us meeting each other, no, like, there was never any beef. There was never any, like, one of your questions earlier we were talking about, did someone have to do an introduction and make sure everything was good between us? No, like, it was like organic and super chill.
Sweet.
So yeah, Sam, he actually came and trained with us the 2018 season for a little bit. So I talked to him and stuff. But yeah, nothing like crazy. just found a way, I mean, I'm sure they made some jokes here and there, but I just was very professional about it and just like got on with it,
Okay.
So
I don't even know. Is Wake Forest in the, because the NCAA tournament is going on right now, it's over?
Stanford and Wake Forest are in the Final Four.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know. That's cool.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, okay, so you mentioned your, like, a preferred style, like Stanford played a style that's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think is, like, your preferred style of play?
Oh, definitely possession based, super attacking. So like that's the most broad I can describe.
Yeah.
Okay, get specific now.
Okay, get specific. So at Wake, I actually played winger. So all the midfielders that played in the middle of the park, that 6, 8, and 10 were like youth national team, like ballers, So like I came in and they wanted me to play, so they kind of morphed me into a different position. So basically what I did was I played right mid, but I played center mid from right mid. So what I would do was our outside back was super athletic, kind of like a Shannon Gomez, a Jordan McCreary, or even an Elliott, Elliott Horde, an attacking outside back. So what I would do was I would start with my heels on the line every time we're in the build, and then I would creep into the middle and try to get the ball as a center midfielder. And every time I received the ball, that gave the green light to the outside back to then attack. And so then I had the 10 to play off of. So like I would check in, get the ball, turn in the middle, play it off the 10, get it back, switch it, or cut in and play it wide to my outside back, and just kind of those combination plays. So I'm really always looking to like make triangles, and I know that's cliche. People say, oh, triangles, but like for the Portland game, we were talking the Portland 2 game that I scored the goal and had success that game. We played a 3-5-2 that game. So every time Jordan got the ball, for instance, I would just kind of stand into the half spaces in the middle, on defenders' back shoulders, because if you stand in those pockets, it looks like you don't have any room, but you have more room than you think you do. You're behind people's eyes, So I try to get in those seams right there, and if Jordan can pivot the ball to me, then I'm in between Villian and Jordan, and I have 2 options always. So like I'm always thinking to put myself in the best situation so that I never lose the ball. Like there's a lot of things that I would do that our team, I don't know if some of them thought like that, and that's why some things would break down and stuff. But like I was very systematic in that sense, because that's what I learned at Wake for 4 years under 2 very good coaches.
Dang.
So it sounds like what you did at Wake is a lot what Kevin Aleman did this year. He'd start wide and then move centrally as McCrary pushed up.
Right. Yeah, and you see that too, because I mean Kevin Aleman, we know he's always going to his left. He's left-footed, right?
Yeah.
And the most skillful players in the world, like Messi and stuff, they're going to their left, but you still can't stop them. Yeah. But we would play him on the right, so that he could become like an inverted winger. And that brings a lot, Sam would then play on the left, because Sam could cross with his left or shoot with his left and cut in on his right, so there's that versatility. That's 2 options to think about. Like Sam, you want to put like in isolation, like kind of like basketball, give KD the ball, leave him ISO, let him do his thing. Sam's the same way, like get him wide, and he's going to do the guy, and then he's going to get a cross in, or he's going to do the guy and cut in. And then based on what he does, the outside back can get in around, or just support and hang out and rest.
Yeah. So you came to Sacramento in the middle of the 2017 season, so you've played under both Paul Buckle and Simon Elliott. I know we were really interested just to see how they differed tactically, what they were telling you to do, whether it's the same, was it different? What was it like playing under those 2 different coaches? Yeah,
so Paul's like strictly English, like old school gaffer,
Okay.
And like I really liked it though, because what he would do was he would tell you straight what he wanted, and then he didn't care how you did it, but if you got that job done, then he was happy, right? So I came in my first year, and he believed in me, and that's the first thing. Like, you need to go somewhere as a player where someone believes in you. That's the biggest thing. Okay, your headspace, the top 6 inches, is the biggest thing in where you're gonna find output. So when I was under Paul, he would tell me. He wouldn't say Hayden. He didn't know how to say my name. He would say Hayden. This is why, Hayden. So he would tell me what he wanted, and then he would let me be. He wouldn't micromanage. He wouldn't do anything, and he believed that I would get it done. It might not be the way he would have thought of it, but it was a way that it got done, right? Yeah. So
some creative freedom.
Yeah, I honestly think that was the best year of my career, the best year of my career, like season. I know it was only half the season, but I was free and I did what I wanted, and I gotten spaces where I thought were helpful for the team, and I did what I thought was helpful for the team, and never got shamed for it. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
So we would play like 4-4-2 block, you know, different like old fashioned stuff, and then sometimes we'd play 4-4-2 diamond, which I really like. But if we were ever up on the road and stuff, we would like kind of sit in and then win. And I wouldn't say like that's the way I want to win, but those are the kind of things with Paul. But you knew where you stood. Like he would tell you straight where you stood, and if you had a problem with it, then that's that. But he'll tell you like the truth straight up, and you know where you stand, and that's you get on with it.
Like the truth with what?
With like say I'm not playing, for instance, and I go in there and he's like, You're not playing because this guy's doing better than you in this in like this area of the game. Say it's transition defense, whatever it may be, whatever he wants, right? And it can change game to game. So he would be straightforward with you, and you knew where you stood, and then you're like, okay, I know what I need to work on, right?
So you have to have some thick skin, but
exactly,
if you have that thick skin,
it's
like,
perfect.
Hey, I know what I need to work on.
Yeah, for me, like I want you to tell me, hey, this is not.
Straight up,
yeah, exactly. Like tell me, I'm all about honesty, like up front and out in the open. You know what I mean?
Don't beat around the bush.
Yeah, exactly. So
okay, for sure.
So some people, I mean, you know how this world is nowadays. People are really soft, and some people can't work with that, and I definitely understand that. And I mean, I want to be a coach someday, but I'm going to be truthful. You know, I want to be a hybrid of, you know, find the players that can't handle that, and you know, coddle them a little bit, but also be able to get like lay into them, but find a way to get the best out of all of them. You know. Yeah. So with Simon, things were a little different. Simon was like a player's coach. Like he was always trying to be everyone's friend, you know. And so I think Simon is more of a student of the game than Paul was. So like he's more of a tactician. He tries to figure out things. Sometimes that could be a good thing, and sometimes that could be a bad thing, because I felt that he was so much a tactician that we would change so many tactics game to game that we didn't have our own identity in that sense.
Okay.
You know, and so like for me at Wake, and I have my own coaching portfolio. I got my identity already like solidified, you know. So I'm always thinking about myself and the team if I were to be the coach, you know, and I like try to take a step back, but I didn't feel like we had an identity. It would change too often, if that makes sense. And because of that, people would go into a game, and we had a week spell of preparing for that game, right? But your role in the same exact position has changed drastically. So you're like kind of like second guessing yourself, you know, maybe not winning just, you know, headers or just random like competing parts, because you're like second guessing, am I in the right space? Am I doing the right thing? You know what I mean? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so to go off that a little bit, the word identity was something that was a criticism in the kind of middle part of the season, this past season, when addressing the Republic, and when we had kind of taken a dip, that was a criticism that was strong. So if you could just kind of take me through like that moment, that kind of like lowest moment in the season, in this past season, and where you guys were at as a locker room, and then also because you picked it up, and because out of that kind of low point, there was a streak of wins, and we make playoffs, and we were playing really well. So if you could just kind of take me through that low point, and then after that, kind of the high point.
So when you're like a player and your team's down and not doing so well, and you got a fan base like we do, and social media, and you're getting battered, whatever it may be, dude, it's tough, you know. And if you don't have that constant communication from a leadership standpoint, maybe from our coaching staff, from whoever it may be, you're kind of like lost in yourself to believe in it, like individually, to then collectively believe in it, you know. So one thing that I thought was good with Simon, and maybe sometimes we did it a little too much, was he would dissect that kind of stuff, and we would talk, and we would have hard conversations together in a locker room with the leadership, with Todd, with all the coaches, with all the players, and he would be like, it's open floor. Like you say what you need to say, and like there's things that I'm like taking a step back, like, wow, did he just say that? Yeah. But it was good, you know. So that kind of stuff would happen over over a course of, the whole season really. But during that middle bit, like you're talking about, where we went through a spell of, some poor results, we did that and we talked it out and we found like kind of a camaraderie within each other. And I think our identity kind of was born there. Yeah. Not tactically or anything or like theme of the play, but
chemistry almost.
Chemistry. We were on the page like, hey man, I'm gonna fight for you. You're my brother. You're next to me, and I'm gonna go to war with you. That's basically it, and that was kind of what it was.
Hey, this is Zach at the 916 Republic podcast, interrupting this episode to tell you that we have a new YouTube page. You can actually go on and listen to this episode on our YouTube page, so go ahead and check that out. And I also want to thank our Patreon sponsors, patreon.com/916Republic. You can go on there and you can support us financially. So thank you to those who are already helping us out financially and also letting you guys know that's something you can do. Also, just want to let you know that this episode will be available on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and the Patreon information will be on all those platforms as well. Let's get back to the episode.
So then when you're talking about like things were brought up that really took you back, is it like you're talking about like players play? Like what are the types of things?
Yeah. So there was times that Simon would ask us like, what could I do better? And people would be like, could you communicate with us better? Like for instance, like one thing, it was hard for the coaching staff to pick what players would play in the game or start or be in the 18, right? When you have a 22-man roster and you got academy kids knocking on the door and it's competitive, it's tough for a coaching staff. Like I totally get that. Mm-hmm. But there was a time that I thought I was going to start a game and I showed up to the locker room and I wasn't even on the dress list. And I'm fuming, you know? And I'm like, dude, tell me this earlier, because I could have gone and worked out today or something. So stuff like that, because then people don't know where they stand. And I mean, if you just say, hey, Hayden, we're going to rest you this game because of this, whatever it is, right? But they would do that if you asked for it. They wouldn't go out of their way and do it like already. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So it sounds like what you're saying is Elliott is a really good tactically, but maybe just had some growing pains to go through as a head coach for the first time.
Yeah. And he coached younger kids too. So like dealing with grown men, I don't know, it could have been different. But I mean, no disrespect to him at all. That's just what I observed. Mm-hmm. I thought he was a great coach. I loved playing for him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's an area that he reflects on. Is like, okay, when I'm a head coach somewhere else or whatever he does in his next endeavor, this is something that I could work on.
Yeah. So, and one thing that I've heard about first time head coaches at higher levels is they have a very well developed plan of how we're going to defend, how we're going to transition. But when it comes to the final third, that can be a struggle for a lot of first time head coaches. Mm-hmm. So could you maybe kind of answered already, but could you walk us through what the general plan was when the team got in the final third? Because watching the games, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it felt like we could defend really well, we would transition really well, but when we got to the final third, some things kind of broke down.
And it felt stagnant.
Yeah. So could you kind of walk us through what the game plan was?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think really there was totally a game plan in that sense. I think, you listen to like Pep Guardiola, one of the best coaches in the world. He's like, the field's broken up in threes and I get you to the final third and then your creativity, But Simon would try to give us guidelines and stuff, but this season I sat from the sideline a lot. From what I saw, sitting there and evaluating, I thought we did a lot of hopeful things in the sense that we get the ball in good areas, right? But then we would just make a cross or something. We wouldn't actually like pick someone out. We'd put a cross in a dangerous area, which can be good if you have people always in those areas to make the runs and make dangerous runs. But if those don't connect, then we're just crossing balls straight into people, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
like for me, what areas we needed to work on in that sense was we need to find ways to get in behind the back line more, right? So through rotational things in the midfield, which this was non-existent with us, through wingers interchanging, wingers coming in, outside backs getting high, Cam getting underneath, getting the ball underneath, and then laying it off, and then maybe the 10 slipping in behind where Cameron just left the space. These kind of things confuse the defense, and they're like split-second decisions that they have to make and communicate. And over time, if you have spells of possession, they make a mistake, and you attack the area that's
and
weak.
You go,
Sorry, I'm tackling the
no,
mic.
We do it all the time.
Yeah,
It's so
fine.
anyway.
So those are things like Thomas Innevolton.
I was gonna say
Great player, right? He found a way. He's not super athletic. He's not super fast. Like, we know he's a little older than the average age here in the league, but he's a very savvy player, and he's very smart. You know, he found ways within our system, within our formation, I wouldn't say our system, to be successful, right? You wouldn't see him help in the build or help in possession or anything, but he would be in the space to have one-touch finishes, right?
And he was coordinating things like
Exactly.
Oh my
this
gosh,
is something
this guy's
that we would
arms
say
never went down.
Yeah.
no, like it's something we would say on our
Exactly.
podcast is like, this is why going to a game is so much more. Like, you can see Thomas Enevolson just coordinating from in the final third, and like you said, his arms are never down, and so and then we hit that upswing, and then we're winning games. Like, he was definitely a spark for sure.
Yeah, no, I thought he was a great signing, and so like he found ways to be successful, you know, and develop chances on goal, creating chances. Him and Cam kind of found a little good chemistry together. But I wouldn't say there was like a main goal. We would say, oh, this team is weak on the flank, so like most of the time is give it to the wingers and let them do their thing, and over time that's not going to work. They're going to get tired, and I'm sure that's why we did a lot of interchanging of the wingers. Like, our two of our subs every game were our wingers. Yeah. So
you mentioned not rotation through the midfield was non-existent. Like, what does that mean exactly? Because
I mean, not like playing wise.
No.
I mean like movement wise.
Yeah. So I guess a question that I had for you is, like, the fan base was really, they wanted to see you play, like. Indomitable, like we've said it off the mic, but Indomitable City Soccer, in an interview with Elliott, asked like, why we wanted to see more of Hayden Partain this season. What contributed to the lack of playing time for you? Like, how was that personally, being a part of the team, all that? Like, what did that look like for you?
So I went through the spell of like 10 or 11 games where I got subbed in like the 90th minute like 2 or 3 times at the beginning of the season. And then I finally got my first start against Las Vegas, and I played the number 10 position, which that's not my position, but I was like,
give me the playing time.
I was super excited.
See, that's interesting to me, because I actually pegged you more as a 10. I think your skill set fits it more. Like, because I think you are a smarter player than you give yourself credit for, in my opinion. Like, so that's surprising that you said that to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, I appreciate that. But like, I played 10 and I had a couple of cracks, and then I ended up scoring. And it was my first game to start, and I played like 60 minutes, which this is like a normal thing professionally, is I'm not fully fit for 90 minutes. We're in the desert, you know, we're up 1-0. So they take me out, which I get that, right? But then the team goes on to lose the game, and I'm on the bench, and I'm super pissed.
That was
3-1 with like 2-3 goals in the...
Or 3-2, sorry. 3-2.
Yeah. Tyler had a consolation goal. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm super pissed about that, right? Yeah. So that was a road game, and then we went to Fresno, and like, this is the kind of situation I went through. I wasn't in the lineup for the next game, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I got my first chance.
Yeah, I remember that being frustrating for us too.
Yeah. So what happened was, I think Todd like sensed that I was pissed off, and he gave me a call. And dude, Todd is like professional, man. Like, he's a very stand-up guy. Like, he handles everything very well. From what I've gathered and what I've experienced with him personally. He called me and asked me like what I was upset about and stuff. I was like, Todd, man, I haven't gotten any looks this season. I finally played. I got a goal. I played number 10. Like, I created chances and I scored a goal, and then I get subbed out and we lose. Right? And I can't do anything about the loss. I did all I could. And then the next game, I'm not starting again. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm fuming.
Yep.
What is that? And no one said anything. I'm just dropped. And so I ended up starting after having that conversation.
Really?
I don't know if that changed it or what happened, and we ended up winning away at Fresno, right? So like that was good.
It was
for
a
me.
big deal.
It was a big deal, yeah.
Fresno was
So
very good last year.
games kept going. I was not playing. It was kind of hit or miss. And then I had a conversation with Simon. I was like, dude, like I don't understand why I'm not playing. He says that's on me. Like I've made decisions of what I think is best for the team, and I never, first of all, never discredit that at all. Like if a coach, every coach that I have, whether I agree with them or not, I definitely think they're out looking for the best interest of the team.
Yeah.
Never like botching something or have a bias or any of that. I've never experienced that. So I asked him straight up. He told me straight up, yeah, like that's on me. Like you should be playing more. Keep training the way you've trained, and you'll get your shot. And so my next shot was Portland.
Yeah.
Right. So. And then I scored that game.
Yeah.
We went on to win 1-0. Didn't finish the game quite the way I would like to have, but we held on and got the win.
Yeah.
And then a couple more games went on. We were on the road for a bit, and the team doesn't get results, blah, blah, blah. And then Drew kind of gets back in the lineup. And then till the end of the season, I knew I would go to training, and sadly I knew I wouldn't even play. And that was hard for me. That was really hard for me. Like, as a player, when you lose your confidence and you know you're not going to play, like that's a really tough spot to be motivated.
Yeah. I was
And so what I thought for myself was, hey, I'm just going to get better.
Yeah.
This is just training for next year.
Yeah.
Training for next year. And that's what I thought. And I was like, nah, I'm going to. So there was times that even the second team, we would destroy the first team. Like me and Ray Sari was in a similar situation. And we would pass around the park, and just it was so fun. I found joy in beating them yet not playing, like you know. So that's just kind of where I was at. I did a lot of like reflecting, because I don't think I wasn't playing for I thought I wasn't playing for a reason, right? So Drew played in front of me, right? So I looked at the things that Drew did really well and the things that I did really well, and I was like, all right, this off season I need to work on covering ground. I need to work on my fitness. Like Drew's way more fit than me. He's way more aggressive than me defensively, better defensively, and he's just a huge physical specimen and can cover like a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And he's very athletic. So I'm like, I need to get in the gym. I need to run. I need to push myself, physically, so that I can have my tactical and technical attributes and then complement with that. And then there's no way I can't play. That's what I thought. So that whole rest of the season, I just trained for that. And did a lot of reflecting and journaling to help my thoughts, because I was upset, I was sad, I was angry. Yeah. But you always have to think about the team, So I did my role in my training, and then when I went to the games and stuff, and I was on the bench, I just encouraged the guys in front of me, even though they're in my spot. That's what you do as a player and a teammate. So that's what I did.
Dang.
So then, you mentioned Todd Donovan, and you said he's a stand-up guy. What were the conversations like with you, your agent, him, after the season ended, that led to you not coming back? If you want to get into that, if you don't, we understand.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, my agent really wasn't involved. Todd and I handled everything in my end of the year meeting, and once I heard about Simon leaving, I thought that with the new coach coming in, I actually was going to stay, because I didn't think that it was fair to judge me as a player off of this season. I didn't think I got a fair look to prove anything, right? Okay. And the season before that, I did really well, you know, and I played a lot. So I actually thought that when I went in that meeting with Todd, I thought it was going to go very differently than it did. And he told me we're going to go a different direction, and that's that. You'll have till November 30th, so you can start talking to teams. We'll let you know, like, for sure November 30th, what our final decision is, and go from there. And I was upset, of course, because I'd love to stay here. If they asked me back, I wouldn't have had any questions, right? Yeah. So I was upset, but then again, with the way the season went and how upset I was during the season, I was understanding, like, hey, maybe my time's done here, and I need to go somewhere where I'm respected and appreciated a little more. And if Todd's telling me that they're going to go with a different way or a different angle of things, then if he's telling me that they don't want me, I'm not going to force him to want me and then put myself through a miserable season again, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I told him, I said, hey, Todd, like, right here, this was the first time this season that I really got straight honesty, like, just telling me, hey, And so I never was making up things in my head, and I was like, okay, y'all don't want me here, and that's fine. I don't just think less of myself or anything. I'll go somewhere else where I'm more appreciated, and I hope all the best for the club. That's kind of how we left it. So it's been good, and I've saw Todd 2 or 3 times since then. We still have a very good relationship. You know, he's probably swamped with a lot of things, and we just held it professionally, and I have nothing against him, and I still love this club. You know, I just wish I could be here.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So the question I had was, like, the fan base in Sacramento is very passionate. Like, there's 12,000 or so at a given home game, and it from what I see is a lot of fans' attitude towards the team and the players kind of fluctuates with the last result or like the last run of 2 or 3 games. How, like you mentioned a little bit, you guys had team talks in the locker room after a hard result, but like, how do you guys handle the fan base being frustrated, going off on Reddit? I think at some point even like senior management was on Reddit.
Yeah.
Was it not Buckle, but
It was Kevin Nagel.
Kevin Nagel got on Reddit. It was like, guys, chill out, it's okay. But that was like, that's kind of crazy. Like, how do you handle that as a player and go through that with your teammates and stuff?
Yeah, I think everyone handles it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I know, like, when you're on the high and you're looking on media and you're getting praise, like it's really easy to get complacent. So I would say that there's a lot of people that do that. And then when you're getting, like, you know, shit on social media, like, for me, I look at everything, you know, whether you're shitting on me or you're complimenting me, like, I'll take it. You know, I'll take it, I'll look at it, and I'll, like, evaluate it from their point of view. I'm like, you know what, like, they're right, I was kind of crap today, you know. So I think it varies. I don't think that the whole, like, general consensus of the team would be, like, so down because we're losing and the club is and the fans are, like, mad at us, you know, because we know that it should be better, right? Like, they're regurgitating things that we know, right? Like, you can't tell me we were bad because I know we were bad. We know that result wasn't good enough, you know. So I wouldn't say, like, was it any worse than what we already knew. But I mean, I lost my train of thought. There was, what was I gonna say? Yeah, anyways, go on.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But cool. That's that. We have here in the show notes a picture of your. You say it wasn't a mullet?
It wasn't.
It
sure
sure
looks
looks
I'll show you an action
Slick
shot.
back.
I'm gonna show you an action shot.
Yeah.
I'll pull
Of
it
you,
up.
like,
denying
playing for Wake Forest.
the mullet.
So
Yeah,
for
I'll
all the
show you.
listeners listening in, there is a picture of Hayden Partain on
That
the
we
Wake
had found.
Forest athletic department site.
My senior year. Yeah.
This was your senior year. Okay. Was it like this during the NCAA tournament?
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
heck yeah.
So that's what I'm
That's
saying.
so
It
bad.
is. It
That's
is
not
sweet.
fair.
It is a very lovely set of hair. So that would be cool to
You
bring
could-
back.
See, so, like, here, it's not a mullet.
No.
No,
It's not a mullet. I can confirm.
Look, oh wait,
No, you
here's-
can see. You can
can
see
go-
here's
even
me
in this
against
picture.
Sam. Here's me against Sam. See,
Oh,
it's not a mullet.
oh, cool.
Here, I'll pull it up. I'll show y'all. See, it's not a mullet. It's
not a
just
mullet.
super
Long
long.
hair.
No, it's
Yeah.
There's
beautiful.
Sam. Yeah, exactly.
The flow.
Exactly.
awesome.
So
Did you just Google yourself?
Sam Warner behind.
No way.
I didn't have it saved.
That is awesome.
I didn't have it saved, so I.
Sam
Googled
Warner
it.
is behind him, just hoping that he can catch up. Just
Exactly.
to clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what's the picture.
Sam's way faster. Probably 2 shots later of that camera action was probably him already
Taking
catching
the
me.
ball.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, we only have a couple more minutes left
Okay.
to record, but can you give us any insights as to where you may be playing in the future, what your plans look like? I totally understand you just ended your time in
no, you're
Sacramento.
good.
So you don't know at all.
I'd say I had a lot of leads,
Yeah.
and I've narrowed it down. Some of the options I'll be revisiting Sacramento, and some of them I will not. That's all I'll disclose.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Sorry, say that again.
I said I had a lot of leads.
Yeah.
I've narrowed it down to some teams. Some of the options I will play against Sacramento,
Yeah.
Okay.
revisit Sacramento,
Okay.
and some of them I will not.
Okay.
Dang.
That's fair.
Fair
I think
enough.
that's fair.
That is
That's
fair
fair. I
answer.
think that's fair.
Yeah.
I hope it's
Leaves a little up to the
one
imagination.
when you visit Sacramento.
Yeah, and
So-
I'm sure I'll find I'll make a decision within the next coming weeks, hopefully before Christmas.
Okay.
Oh, that's
all
nice.
right.
So,
yeah.
so
that's soon.
speaking of that, you said you're before we started recording. We were talking about you're newly married and you got married just before me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your wife's first kind of encounter of oh, my husband doesn't have a job. So
Yeah.
how is she handling it? Is she doing okay? Is her head still on her body? Or she exploded?
Yeah, I think she's less worried about that aspect because she knows that we'll get it sorted soccer-wise. But I think she's more upset of leaving Sacramento.
Yeah, like
because she worked at Sac State
really?
and for the semester, and she fell in love with Sacramento, and she had visited before. But now that we've gone to Tahoe and
dude.
and
you go to the beach,
Santa
Cruz,
Cruz, Santa Cruz and Capitola, so stuff like that. She's like, nah, man, this sucks, and she loves wine, so going to Lodi, Napa, like everything is really.
You just
close.
got everything right here.
Exactly. So we were like, hey, we're blessed. We had 6 months here together to be able to do those experiences, and now we might move somewhere that's way worse, but at least we got a little bit of time. You know what I mean? So I think she's more upset about that than like, oh, he doesn't have a job. I mean,
So you got lucky with her then. That's what it sounds like.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, she knew what she was getting into. We're very open in our conversation, so there was I knew she wouldn't be freaking out about the soccer aspect.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
That's sweet.
That's good.
Yeah, that is cool.
Dang.
Awesome.
Well,
all right. We guys have any more questions?
I don't think so.
I'm
Just
good.
want to thank you, Hayden, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Giving 2.5 years to Sacramento it really was like super cool. I don't know if you know this yet, but like you were my favorite player for Sacramento, and like when on the pod, it's always like, why aren't you starting Hayden Partain?
Yeah,
like,
that's funny.
You know, like I think you came on in the 2-1 loss to Reno, but that was like your first game, right, where you scored a goal. Yeah, and like I was at that game, and that's where like I heard about you and stuff. So it's cool to sit down and get to talk to you before you head.
Yeah, of course. I'm grateful to be here, and I hope I answered some questions and gave you some more information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some quality stuff.
You didn't know.
Yeah, you did. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, Hayden, and we hope to potentially see you back.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
Maybe this season. I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe you'll come back to good old Papa Murphy's Park. We'll be on the field with our press access. We'll come say hi. We'll come say hi. We'll come dap you up.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
All right. Well, as always, everyone, glory, glory.
Sacramento.